What up, YouTube? I've struggled as to how to do this video for a couple days, actually more like a week or so, but I've started a new job that's kept me pretty busy. But I wanted to do a true Patrick E. Kelly style from the box to the match, but things don't always work out how I want. First of all, I was having technical problems with my pivot head, limiting the amount of video I was able to get out of the match. Secondly, I'm just not as good of a shooter as Patrick Kelly is. He's basically able to take a gun from the box, dial it in by the end of the match, and place well. I think this is a little bit helped by the nature of the Steel Challenge matches that he shoots versus the USPSA IDPA matches that I've run here. But still, his ability to adjust his hold on targets is just something that's beyond me technically as a shooter without more practice or without more effort into that sort of line of shooting. And then finally, the first match I shot with the LTT was somewhat of a special snowflake. And if I showed you my results the same way I normally do, you might think it has something to do with the weapon and not actually where the blame lays, which is of course on me. So let's quickly discuss the match prep, as it's sort of the groundwork on how this match turned out. First, normally I shoot 124 grain conical projectiles from S&S. And I'm out of those right now. Since I was out, I reordered some more, but what I ordered in my haste, I think I ordered off kind of a mobile phone or what have you, just trying to fit that order in between being busy. I ordered the wrong kind of projectiles, and while I can load these on this gun, or while I can load them, this gun absolutely hates them. I guess I'll go into more detail on that later in the video, but I decided to, rather than running untested reloads, I'd shoot 115 grain factory ammo from Atlanta Arms. It's remanufactured ammo, but it's new. I had shot this ammo out of my 92 FS that you guys have seen in previous videos, and it is soft and reliable. So the drawback, however, is that it is a hold oversight picture for my 92 FS, but I had been told prior to this match that it was a top of the post impact with the LTT. Great, that sounds like something I can make work. Holster I used during the match was a Comtac International that I was able to get ordered and delivered quickly while I wait on a Red Hill Tactical that will be this gun's final holster. And while it's not the best competition holster in the world, it certainly was serviceable for this match, and I had it mounted on my Boss hanger. The weather was pretty cold and miserable all morning, but it turned out to be pretty nice by the end of the match. So the walkthroughs were a little wet, and not all of the targets were up during the walkthroughs. But with all of those disclaimers, I'm still going to try and give you my out-of-the-box and to-the-match impressions of the Langdon Tactical 92G Elite LTT. First stage jitters, a new gun, and a cold, wet morning are not the best combinations for match performance. I was pretty happy with the gun's performance, but I know I didn't grip the gun hard enough. Reloads went off without even needing to think about them, but the worst part about this run was the end. If I'm going to go back and check my targets and re-engage, I need to keep my magazine in the gun and the gun up while I'm going to do it. Loading and engaging the two mics I called cost me so much time. Basically, with the first stage, I'm jerking the hell out of the trigger and pulled what is already a low impacting 115 grain even further into the target below it. And so the makeup shots weren't even any better, and I generally want to forget about this stage. So moving on. Stage 2. I know I didn't do the gun any favors on stage 1 by not gripping it hard enough, and I'm determined at this point to make sure that I do grip it hard for this stage. The other thing I know about shooting a gun this size with this sight radius, which is a sort of on the shorter side, it's roughly equivalent as a Tanfoglio Stock 2, is that I have to have a rock solid sight picture on steel. I am determined at this point to pull it off and redeem myself from stage 1. Again, shooting 115 grain and hoping to do this nice trigger justice this run. Fortunately, I did have a good run. It was my second best stage of the day, and the LTT ran like a champ. Pretty sure I was all alphas on this stage, so it might have been a little slow, but with that, it made a bit of a difference. Reloads were nice and easy. And I had a really nice sort of Blake style drill type engagement on the last two targets of the stage 2. It's amazing what a high quality gun will do when you do your part. Stage 3. Well, I suppose I should be mad about my performance on this stage, but really I just learned a lot about the gun on this stage. After the 20-yard plate rack, after I shot the stage and the 20-yard plate rack here, I now figured out exactly where this gun shoots, point of aim, point of impact. And with the 115 grain ammo, it is a lot lower than I had thought. So with that in mind, hearing all the pings from the rack below the plates versus on the plates led me to believe that had I known this ahead of time, even with the shorter sight radius of the LTT, I would have had a pretty good shot at having a good stage on this despite the challenge. I made some adjustments after the stage and actually during the stage on my sight hold, and ended up doing, okay overall for the stage. It certainly didn't do well for the stage, but good news for the gun itself for the rest of the match, having finally nailed some of that information down. Stage 4 was one of the new classifiers. In this video, I'm shooting limited 10. The LTT at the time of me making this video has not yet hit the production list. So going into this classifier, I've got nothing to lose. I'm not going to shoot limited 10 ever. So I know that 115 grain shoots lower than I like, and I have that reloaded 124 grain ammo. So I decided to gamble. Well, I bet and I lost. But again, I took away more information and more good information. I learned that the LTT absolutely hates the bullet profile of those 124 grain projectiles I've got. Additionally, not only does it keyhold like crazy, and that said, the 124 grain ammo did hit higher than the 115, so I actually made the head/shoulder partial shot at 15 yards. What I took away from this stage was essentially I'm excited about getting some 124 grain ammo through this gun. The malfunction itself wasn't necessarily directly related to the gun. It was basically short loaded ammo with a flat point bullet profile and a completely trash mag. The mag was one of them that came with my beater 92, and frankly it just needs to be thrown away. Again, good info, bad to learn that info at a match, but hell, after this point, I'm just determined to have fun with the gun and the rest of the match. Stage 5. Arguably and probably objectively the hardest stage of the match. 30 plus yard shots on turtle targets, one shot required on each, and additionally, I'm the first shooter to shoot for my squad on this stage. Ugh. So I made the decision to go back with 115 grain ammo. I knew that I would be impacting low for me, and that but the 124 grain ammo keyholing is just unacceptable. And let me state this: I've talked a lot about ammo so far, and a lot about my struggles with the point of aim, point of impact, but what I haven't talked about much is what is going right so far. Coming out of the holster, I'm getting a good index. My reloads are happening without any need to make any adjustments versus the Tanfo frame. The extended mag release button is easy to reach and very positive. And I think this needed to be on the plate rack stage. I needed it. The slide lock reloads. I can perform with my thumb and actually reach the slide stop. Plus, this thing recoils like a champ. I still have the factory recoil spring at the gun for this video and this match, so I haven't even started tuning the recoil spring yet. I have a lot of high expectations for this gun in the coming weeks. I shot this stage okay. I dropped one mic, which I assume I dropped it low, on one of the 30-yard shots, and completely overran my position at the end, costing me several seconds. But none of these issues are the gun's fault, so feel mixed about the stage, but I think it's time we start saying a little bit more positive things about the gun. Stage 6, I'm starting to hit my stride. I have finally got this trigger figured out. I'm getting the hang of the recoil timing. I have now finally figured out where to hold my sights. This is the part of the match that I like to call, and that would have been a great run if,
son of a bitch,
insert one thing that happened that had it not happening would have been a good run. Most of these things are related to steel falling or not falling. In this case, it's me not getting a solid hit on the activator and then moving prematurely to get to the swinger. It's actually still a pretty fast run. The whole top part of the stage and the reload going into the last two positions are pretty slick. So this is a great run if. Stage 7, another like speed type shoot. Mini poppers are going to be the death of me. I hate them. I've done a lot of practice on them, but I just need more practice on them. The LTT again is running smooth. Nothing a little trigger time can't fix. I do like the lighter gun in the transitions, and I was able to pull off the double clamshell shots. I just mic'd too much on steel to have this actually be a 80-70% run. Stage 8, which was basically a distance change-up type drill on both sides. I'm nervous going into the stage about being sure to change my hold on the 20 plus yard stacked turtle targets. And doing so, I kind of accidentally rotated one of the bad nags back into, position. So, besides the malfunction and the bobbled reload, all my hits were actually good. The 3 shots I took on the top furthest partial target were all 3 hits, and it was 1 Charlie, 2 Alpha. I actually was able to make the hold over transition for that target, so reasonably happy about that. Just the mag kills this run. Stage 9. This is another stage. We're going into it. I'm nervous about my adjustments on point of aim, point of impact. This time I'm worried about getting hits on swinging steel plates, which should make you nervous, or would make me nervous on a regular stage when I've got my gun dialed in and I've got thousands of rounds behind it. It turns out that was no big deal, but what got me this time was a low hit, probably me jerking the trigger, on a full-size popper set to fall forward. And 115 grain bullet and a low hit means that bad boy stayed put. I heard the hit and I moved on, and I did what I would consider a pretty decent job on the rest of the steel. It just would have been a good run if ... Stage 10, this is basically, this is statistically the best stage for me of the entire day, and it honestly didn't even feel like that great of a run for me personally. The gun worked, the mags worked, the stage plan worked, I got good hits on targets and the swinger, I had solid grip pressure and recoil control. Just a nice solid run. I'm looking forward to more of these type runs and stages with the LTT. Just really, I'm maybe 160 rounds into the gun at this point, so really excited about what will kind of shake out with the LTT at future matches. So that's basically my match with the LTT straight out of the box. I didn't lube it prior or oil it prior to the match, and I had only dry fired it going into this match. My first shots were taken on the first stage. With good magazines and good ammo, this thing runs. I did make one change to the gun before the match. I swapped out the grips the night before the match. The ultra thin grips just weren't doing it for me. I think they're a great carry option if I intended to carry this gun, but for getting a good grip in a sport pistol match, I just prefer the thicker quotes, ones that are bigger than the ultra thins, but they are actually still smaller than the factory grips. Wrapping up, I think all in all, I am still very excited about the LTT. You can't buy your way into better shooting, but knowing that by the end of a match that I had shot to what I would consider my level of ability with only 150 rounds into a new gun has me excited about that new gun, and what I can do with it once I actually have thousands of rounds down that gun and not a mere 100 or so. This model of gun has a rich history, some good, some bad. And while my exposure to these guns is limited to 2 samples that I've only had for a short amount of time, of all of the variants of Berettas that they've made over the years, in my opinion, I think the collaboration with Ernest Langdon, Beretta, has finally made the best version of the Beretta 92, and it's in the 92G Elite LTT. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe. Helps me out and helps me make more videos like these. Thanks, guys.
If you shoot and it's not on Instagram, did it even happen?
No,
I'm not sure.
It didn't.